Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Soul Seeds, where my guest expert for today is Renate. And she is a certified quantum healer. And the topic we are going to discuss today is speaking your truth and finding your authentic voice. So, thank you so much for being here, Renate.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. I would love to know, how can you find your authentic voice? Because I know we are so influenced by our society and the outside world, basically. So how can we find that authentic voice?
Well, that's a good question. You can only find it internally. Like I found that for a really long time, I was always looking for answers outside of me. And I feel like I think especially women can relate to that we always trying to externalize our self-worth and our self-validation as well. Like we always wanted to be validated by others.
Mm-hmm.
We really want to be acknowledged by others, and whatever we're doing, we like it should be good in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how we've been raised up. And I feel like, especially, during your childhood and your teenager time, you kind of lose a little bit of this authenticity about yourself, and especially about your voice. So
Mm-hmm.
for example, in my case, I was really struggling at school when I was a teenager. Like I had no friends and I was just trying to fit in.
Right.
And I kind of became like the other girls from school a bit, but
Mm.
I had no opinions to
Right.
myself.
Yeah, you
No.
try to blend in, of course, when so then you play a role of blending in.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like I'm really good at adapting. I'm a Gemini, it's a star
Mm.
sign.
Same.
So I'm like, oh, welcome to the club. So there you go. So it's, I always felt like I never knew who I truly was. I was
Mm.
always like, who am I actually? What is my life purpose? And what it really means to find your authentic voice is like you really need to go on an inward journey and, become really raw and authentic with yourself first and
Mm.
be feeling vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
And I also feel like you can find it out more when you're really clear on your values, like what is
Mm.
really important in your life. And based on all of this, it will be much easier to be really authentic
Mm-hmm.
and really speak your truth based on, what's really important to you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why is it so scary and vulnerable to come from that authentic place?
Well, I see that in a lot of women, and also, my past self, my past
Mm-hmm.
version. I was like, oh, I was so afraid of rejection, so
Right.
afraid what other people would think of me, like
Yeah.
we really dim our light and we're so afraid to be ourselves because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like world no one really is like the whole time. Like I always
Right.
feel like there are some masks that we are wearing because we're feeling really unsafe to speak our
Mm.
truth. And I feel like you can actually relate that back to, generational trauma, the witch wound, and
Mm-hmm.
where women were persecuted for speaking their truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because, we're still connected to our ancestors with our blood and with our DNA. So, of course, I feel like all of us women, we have like a bit of that
Mm-hmm.
running.
Right. Yeah, we had to be someone we're not to, well, not be, well, like you said, the witch wound, of course, witches were burned for their beliefs and their what they were doing. And it's still somewhere down there that must be still in our DNA a bit. Like we have to pretend to be someone or something that we're not in order to be accepted, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it can really show up by you not showing up in your business, for example, like you are hiding your spiritual gifts, you're not
Mm.
speaking your truth because, yeah, you just feel not safe because it's like a trauma and it's like a response even from your body of like, oh, okay, this is just not safe for me right now. So I
Mm.
get, like we have these coping mechanisms And I also feel like we probably learned that at our childhood as well,
Mm-hmm.
where we're like, oh, okay, like when I say something, you know, my mom says to me,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, be quiet, shut down, you know, so we
Mm-hmm.
kind of shut down and we're like, oh, okay, it's like we're not okay just how we are.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Right.
really you know, this is like one of my biggest missions to help as many women as possible to really reclaim back that voice and
Mm-hmm.
also being okay with being authentic
Mm-hmm.
and also being okay automatically, you know, when you're authentic, being okay with judgment because there will
Mm-hmm.
be always people who judge you, really.
Right. Yeah, because it always felt over. I think that's also in our DNA that it's really not safe to be different because different usually means by yourself. And that's not very safe, quote unquote safe.
Yeah, and we're so afraid of being alone, right?
Hmm.
That
Right.
was such a thing for me, and I feel like that's, you know, I attracted a lot of relationships in my life that really mirrored that back to me, that I was so afraid of being alone. So I just was holding on to relationships that were no longer serving me.
Right. Yeah, and you give up a part of yourself because of that, I think, as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like this part of you kind of, you know, it's like, oh, it's not okay for me to be who I am.
Hmm.
It's not safe for me. So it's almost like, who are you really? Like if
Hmm.
you never explore this, it's like this kind
Right.
of hidden
Mhm.
secret.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the main word that's so important is that be feeling safe, the safety. You have to create your own safety nets almost to be, well, your authentic self and be your own best friend as that safety net, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
Mm.
that nervous system. Like, you know, I feel like our nervous systems need to get used to, you know, when we are speaking our truth, to
Mm-hmm.
realize we're actually safe. Nothing can actually happen to
Mm-hmm.
us.
Yeah.
And whenever, you know, like maybe emotions come up, that we find a way to really regulate these emotions and regulate our nervous system
Mm-hmm.
and really expand our capacity to, you know, to show our authentic selves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And show up for ourselves in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and what are some of the, I would almost say, practical ways that we can feel safe to become our authentic self?
Yeah. So I mean, I love to do embodiment practices. So
Mm-hmm.
anything that helps you to really reconnect to your body and to your body's wisdom, because you know your body will tell you if there's something going on, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you actually feel it. You even feel blocks
Mm-hmm.
in your throat or even in your womb space.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did a couple of years ago. It was actually around COVID time where I really started to reclaim back like my authenticity
Mm-hmm.
by doing a lot of womb healing.
Mm-hmm.
And womb is actually connected to your throat. So whenever you heal actually something in your throat, you know, you will be actually able to express more and more because they are energetically really connected.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and what I also did was doing a lot of singing. So I love mantra chanting.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to like a yoga studio and they had like their weekly kirtans on. And
Mm-hmm.
I went there and I was like it was almost like a drug mantra addict. Like seriously, I was going there. I think at one point I went there for like for 3 or 4 days a week.
Like you are here again, okay.
Yeah, because I really wanted to like hear my voice, like, and I felt in a group setting where everyone is singing, I
Hmm.
actually felt really safe to express that.
Yeah.
So,
Again, that's where it's safe, right? Like the people there are your safety net to express that.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like, you know, especially in these kirtan groups, nobody really cares how you sing. It's
Hmm.
like everyone is just like, you know, expressing themselves
Mm.
really. And
Yeah, you're
it's
not auditioning for like Australian Idol or anything.
Exactly. Totally. Well, that would be a different story, right? If you would do that.
Exactly. But feel free to do so if you want to. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree when you say that you have to incorporate your body into that. For me, it was dance. I've danced ballet. I've done belly dancing as well, and other types of dancing. And for me, it was very empowering to use my body again and to feel that strength in my body to express my true self again. And it's yeah, it's still it's like I think an ongoing process, right?
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's still times where I feel something in my throat, especially
Mm-hmm.
in my romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there are still parts of me which are like, oh, okay, I'm feeling like really, it's really hard for me to express what I'm feeling right now. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a really, really long process and it takes time, it takes patience, and it's really about being really compassionate with yourself and really patient, I feel,
Yeah.
in this process, because it's sometimes not easy, in
Oh, definitely not.
yeah, and some people will cut you off and you will feel it even more in your body and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God. And it
Should I be doing this? I don't like this authenticity too much.
exactly. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I just go back to my old self. It was
Yeah.
easier
Easier. Yeah.
and I
And
would
I
say there.
and I had all my friends still around me because it's true. You lose some relationships, but then again, you gain, I think, the best relationship, and that is with your authentic self.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. And I feel like what's really beautiful, like, because I did a quantum healing course last year and I was really accessing even more parts of my soul.
Mm,
And I feel like the more you reconnect back to your soul and your true essence, the
mhm,
more authentic you become. It's like an automatic process, really, because you remember that, oh my God, I'm created from source. Like
mhm,
I'm light, like I'm light and love embodied. Like I'm
mhm.
a freaking human being, and also to really remember that everyone is going through the same things. Like
Mhm,
there's really no woman that I talked to that didn't say, oh, like I'm having fears around this, I'm having doubts around this, expressing myself here. It's like, we're all on the same journey, really, of like really
mhm,
reclaiming back that part of ourselves. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, and like you said, compassion for yourself and for others is, I think, essential in helping each other through it, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Mm,
is like we're really walking each other home and we're all in this together,
mhm.
so we're
Yeah,
not really alone. And it's beautiful when you really reconnect back also to that sisterhood,
yeah,
of other women, they're going through the same and we really got this and we have each other's back.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Renate, for today. Thank you.
You're so welcome.